Okay, sir. So, hello everyone, and welcome to our amazing episode. And today's guest is Anis Merson, sir, a global leader in AI, innovation, and digital transformation. As Executive Vice President and Global Head of Innovation, IP, and Analytics Consulting at C5I, Anisa has spent over 2 decades with companies from Fortune 500 to startups, scale with purpose and technology. He is known for combining cutting edge AI with human centered leadership, and we are excited to explore his insights on the future of innovation and transformation today. Anisa, since you have led innovation and AI driven transformation for over 2 decades, what core shifts are you seeing today that companies can't afford to ignore?
So the things which large companies or any company shouldn't ignore is that disruption is happening at grassroots levels. What I mean by that is today anybody with the sound knowledge of technology can go ahead and create platform softwares or disrupt businesses pretty effectively and efficiently. You don't need uh, you know, large ammunition like capital to go ahead and disrupt any other segment or any other industry. It's very much possible today for anybody. I actually recently met an individual who's just 16-year-old, based out of India in Pune. Uh, building has built a startup which is getting him a MRR of 40 or 50,000 dollars per month, which is just fascinating. And he's working with a lot of small companies to build automations, and these are large global companies as well as small and medium business companies. So if an individual that young can go ahead and cause disruption to some of the large services or other types of software companies, then anybody can do it. And I can see that within myself today. I'm not a coder, but I've been able to code software. I've been able to go ahead and build platforms on my own very efficiently and effectively. So disruption can be coming in from all angles. It's not just your immediate competition. So companies cannot ignore the wave of AI and technology coming through.
That's really insightful, sir. And as Global Head of Innovation, IP, and Analytics Consulting at C5I, what does innovation truly mean in today's enterprise landscape, according to you?
See, innovation, there is a lot of buzzwords. There are many books written about innovation. For me, innovation, which I advise to not only my team, but everybody around me, is demonstrating incremental progress and basic steps, right? Can you make a progress which is 1% every day? And if you do that in the next 1 year, you'll be 3 times, 10 times better than where you are today. So innovation is demonstrating that incremental progress. Now, the challenge which happens with many people, and this is where innovation really fails, people would have great plans, but how to break those plans into chunkable outcomes, that's where they miss out really big way. And this is an opportunity for companies as well as individuals. If they are trying to drive innovation and make it big, they really focus on how can they drive that incremental progress literally a day, 1%, half a percent on a daily basis. That will make a huge difference.
Great to know that, sir. And since there are so many startups popping up in the recent times, that really solves a lot of you know questions around these buzzwords. And now, like you are known for driving human-centered innovation, how do you balance rapid technological change that's happening in today's time with the culture and people-centric leadership?
See, who's driving innovation? Who's driving this technology advancement? It's people like us. It's teams around me. It's people around me. Now, to have them march towards a common goal or a common vision is fairly critical. And you can only lead humans or you can work with humans if you embrace empathy, if you embrace servant leadership, if you embrace a culture of listening to everybody and sharing a joint point of view, because everybody is working towards a joint mission and a vision. which has been chartered. So, uh, you know, uh, I don't see that being different when you're trying to drive innovation, that you have to treat this differently. You have to kind of bring that all together rather than trying to say, hey, I will treat, I will focus on innovation, but I will not focus on people aspect, or I will not go ahead and think about my culture, or think about how my team behaves or feels or works on a day-to-day basis. And that's, if any leader or if any individual is thinking of that, that's going to be a flawed strategy, because at the heart of it, it is human, and we need to. And even when you're, this is where most of the startups fail, most of the products fail, is because when they build products, when they build startups, they're building it for themselves. They're not building it for their customer. They're not building it for the users who are going to use this product or the startup which they're building for. And that is a huge challenge, right? And that's where it clearly shows that how much empathy you have towards others. And when you have empathy, you can put yourself in other person's shoes and understand that other person's perspective, and then go ahead and build whatever you're trying to build, right? Whether it's a startup, whether it's a product, or it's a small innovation or a large innovation. So empathy is clear, even in building software startups. If you look at some of the best apps, best products out there, they have had a lot of empathy, lot of understanding of consumers, lot of understanding of the users of that product or the platform, because without that they would have never been able to build a platform where they have built today. So it is imperative, it is critical for them to go ahead and have that empathy attitude, and imbibe empathy as and when they drive things forward.
Amazing. Since AI has been a very keyword for a lot of youngsters nowadays, that many startups come and go by, and they struggle to scale their product, their AI product, beyond pilots. And since you have already mentioned some blockers that you see, could you like to add how can companies move from experimentation to this experience wide impact model?
Sure. One of the big thing is, see, with any new piece of technology, there will always be change. But and human beings are always averse to change, right? It's very difficult. We always say that we want to change, but it's very difficult for human beings to change. And driving change management is a huge, humongous exercise. Many a times, I often see that companies would go ahead and adopt a technology, but nobody has thought about what was the as is process, what is going to be the to be process with the new technology we bring in. And that requires change management, because within that you will have a setup where people's role will change, processes will change, many other things will change. And it is important that companies map that out.
Hmm.
And they miss that in a big way. And that's when many companies who would do pilots in a lab or pilots in a small scale fail to go ahead and drive that, because they lack communication. They have not thought about change management. They have not thought about, okay, how will I go ahead and bring people along, how will the training happen on usage of the new technology, also in the new role, or the task or the jobs which they were doing is now going to be leveraged or be done by the technology. How will that change management happen? What is that communication? How are you going to remove fear of individuals who are going to use the technology or get impacted with the advent of technology? These basic things, change management, communication, all of those factors are super critical, when companies are thinking of driving AI to scale. The other facets uh, is also the lab environment and the real environment. And what I mean by that is, many AI pilots are being done in a lab where it lacks real data or limited data. It's been done on limited data. It lacks the action systems where the action is going to be triggered or done. And third, and most importantly, it lacks people who are going to be using it.
Hmm.
It's done by ivory tower prince and princesses who don't come and talk to the common human being. Right? Sorry, I'm making these strong analogies, but the idea is to kind of hit that point very hard, that people sitting in those ivory towers need to come down at the grassroots level and really fix it. Like, I'll give you an example. I'm sitting out of Bombay right now. Why there has not been a single technology which can replace the dabbawala? There is the technology which they use, there is a process they use, but to go ahead and automate that entire process is going to take a lot of time. And I'm not saying technology will not be able to do that. They will be able to do that. Probably they may start using an app, but the only people who will be able to adopt it and drive that will be those dabbawalas. So somebody has to live that life of a dabbawala in India, in Bombay. And if they're really thinking, okay, how can I make those lives easier? That's where you would see the benefit of it.
Yeah, it's true. And as you mentioned, researching coming in onto the ground level is quite important for all these startup owners and founders. So you have worked with Fortune 500 startups and other scale-ups. How do innovation differs across these ecosystems, and what can they learn from each other? Uh,
There's a lot of difference. Uh,
hmm,
I would call out few of them. So, in the school days we used to do, right? Write out the difference between two parameters or two areas of topic. So if I have to put those grid up, if you have to think about it, if you think of startup, it's a startup. They have nothing to lose. They can disrupt themselves today pretty quickly. The word which startups use is pivot. They are very easy to pivot. But a large company will always have a reputation, will have stakeholders, shareholders, change
yes.
people around them. They will have systems, processes, tasks, expectations from customers. For them to pivot at a larger scale takes a lot of energy, time, patience, communication. And there are companies which have done successfully. And there are companies who've struggled significantly because a lot of their own internal dynamics have come along in front of them, right? So that's the first difference. The second is startups can quickly experiment, adopt, and scale versus large enterprise because of the dynamics, the hierarchies, the bureaucracies which they would have. It will be very difficult for somebody to, you know, untangle that knot of a ball of a wool and really take time to untangle it. I don't know if you've ever done the untangling of a ball of a wool, right? You can spend hours. You don't know where it starts, where it ends, where is the starting point, where is the ending point, and you remove one and you tighten the other, right? You will end up doing that in a large enterprise versus in startup, smaller teams, smaller organization, less processes, less headaches, lesser dynamics, lesser bureaucracy, right? You go ahead and
Mhm.
simplify things and you get that down. However, startups can perish in a minute for a smaller mistake. A large enterprise can weather those small storms, and vice versa also, right? Uh, Startups can weather these large storms and small storms very easily, but a large company, if they have a large, let's say, a reputation issue, it can really disrupt them. Yeah. Uh,
Hmm.
Startups, if they go away from the planet Earth, nobody will know. Large enterprise, we've seen some of them in the past. When they went away, they become case studies. But nobody talks about these startups who've perished, and there are no case studies for that. Actually, uh, so there are these many differences, right? So startups have more fear to failure, and probably if you know human beings, what drives us every day, what leads our action is fear.
Hmm.
What makes us human being is fear, right? If we take fear away
True.
from ourselves, we will never be human beings, right? Large enterprises have that fear, but they have a lot of, whether it is decades, depending upon which company you're talking about, but they have decades and years of experience where they have strong footing. You know,
Hmm. Yeah.
they will. I'm not saying they won't fail. They will fear, but will they break down so easily? The answer is no, right? They have those rightful processes, rightful systems to make that happen. But sometimes these systems come in the way of innovation also.
Hmm. Yes, sir. And with your Harvard Business School foundation, sir, and your global consultancy experience, How has your thinking around growth, leadership, and transformation evolved with, upcoming of these startups and scale ups, and then maybe some of them went away. So how has it like impacted you?
No, it's a very interesting question. My thinking as a leader, my thinking from a growth has evolved over the years. I often tell people that you have to make yourself dispensable. You have to go ahead and disrupt your own self on a daily basis or on a weekly basis, and keep learning, keep evolving. I have created my own recipe book of sorts, which basically is my success mantra, which I happily share with a lot of young folks in terms of what does it take to be successful. And these are learnings which I have gathered over these years. But since you asked about leadership and growth, I'll just give you certain thoughts. The first piece is, as a leader, often I find many leaders who are new leaders, uh, they're very control freak, or they would want to know everything possible, what's happening within the team, within the program, within the process. Uh, and one thing I've learned is, you have to start trusting people and let it go, right? You have a team who have a certain responsibility. You need to treat them like adults. I often say I don't have teams of children. I have two children at home. I don't need more children at work, right? These are grown ups and they know what needs to be driven. So I let them drive with a certain common mission and goal, and let it go, right? Rather than trying to be a control freak, give me an update every hour, every minute. That's not my style. And let them make mistakes, which is the second thing. Because if even I have made a lot of mistakes as I have grown, and there have been people, I've been fortunate enough to have leaders who've let me experiment, let me fail, because those failures have been not looked upon as failures. They've been looked upon as learning opportunities which have helped me scale and helped me reach where I am today, actually. So that's the second point. And the third point, which has been my recent part, which I've spoken a lot about it, is servant leadership. Having that mindset that you are a leader, and this was actually told to me about now 20 years ago or 23 years ago by one of my manager. uh, you know I am in any company I work with or any business I run, which naturally, until unless I'm running a single person company, there are many other individuals who will be part of the company, or where I work, there are people in the team. I'm not required if that team doesn't exist as a leader, right? What will the leader do if he or she doesn't have a team under them? So the job of a leader is to make the person's or the team's life easier. So how can I go ahead and remove the roadblocks? How can I enable the energy? How can I go ahead and channel the right processes or the right structures which will help them be successful? Because if they are successful, I'm successful. It's easy. If I continue to say, oh, this is all because of me, I'm a stupid idiot person. I've not done a goddamn shit here, right? Pardon my French. It's my team. That's what they have done. you know yes, certain ideas were mine, but those were good ideas, right? Anybody can have an idea, all of us can have an idea. But that idea to paper and paper to scale, and that scale to becoming a book, comes because of the team. It doesn't come because of me, right? I've been just, if you've ever played those pinball game where you have those two levers which is just hitting the pinball, but the main role is the ball moves around, gets into the right holes, get me those points, and wins the game, right? It's not those levers, right? The lever is that leader in that way. It's just guiding the ball. It's just telling the ball, hey, you need to be at this place or that place. That's the role I have, which is how can I be a servant leader in all of this? And that's been my thinking, which has evolved over these years.
Amazing, sir. And you often talk about innovation-led outcomes. Would you like to share a real example where innovation created, measurable and long-term business impact?
There have been many, and I'll give you an example. We've been working with one of the largest CPG brand, and in that, they had a big problem of waste. And many CPG companies which are in the food and beverage side, waste is a huge problem because, and this is finished goods waste. So think about from a value chain of a supply chain, companies are procure raw materials, put it through their factory, and the factory will then go and create of like a bread or packets of chips or a packet of soda or whatever the case is. Now, in that entire process, there's a lot of labor, energy, raw materials have gone through, and the finally finished products are being built up. Now, when you waste the finished product, it hurts more because it's not just the value of that one product, right? It's everything downstream which has also got impacted. And we've been able to drive this innovation for this customer of ours, which we have a long-standing relationship, which has really helped us drive a lot of value for the customers, really save the dollar. And our goal when we started with that is how do we save that bottom line, which is how do we reduce that waste. That was our laser focus. So, as I said, and these what we did was not rocket science. There were incremental progresses and incremental outcomes, which really helped this customer of ours to drive strategies forward.
Amazing, sir. And as a mentor and advisor to emerging leaders, what are the qualities you believe the next generation, to quote Gen Z, of innovators must develop?
See, first of all, I would say any leader, any mentor, or Gen Z or no Gen Z or whatever the case is, right? The only thing I would just say is, roll up your sleeves. You know, uh,
Yeah.
Go ahead and get your hands dirty on the new technologies, new methods, all of that. You can be an individual sitting in a boardroom, but if you don't know what this new technology can do for you, for your company, then you're not doing a good job. Second is be open minded, right? There are ideas now coming from everywhere. And if you think that your old ideas are still going to work, the answer is no. Innovation is happening literally in weeks now, which used to take months or quarters, is now taking weeks. You can see ChatGPT just releasing two of its features from 5.0 to 5.1 in less than 2 months. That's the disruption which is happening at that pace, and this will continue to happen. The world is going to see that a state of flux at least for the next decade, till the time things settle down. And I can't predict the future, so you have to be flexible, you have to have the nimbleness and agility in your mindset. And last but not the least, as a leader, of anybody who's entering a career or looking to become a leader, is be human, right? Technology will come and go. There will be evolution in technology. Today, there has been a lot of technology which has become a status quo. When Internet Explorer came up, when dialers came up, we were all excited. We thought this is path breaking. Today, it's become part of our day to day job. WhatsApp, when it came and became part of a job. Today, it is LLMs. Tomorrow, it will be something else. We just have to, at the end of it, we are humans. So be human, right? Treat others with respect. You spoke about the empathy culture and all of that. That is fundamentally required to make things happen.
True. And since we discussed about the disruption in the ecosystem, the new age startup owners and founders, innovators, they are often, feared, and they have this resistance within themselves for the AI adoption, due to a large variety of LLMs or models coming out and giving solutions different kind of. So, what mindset shift or cultural frameworks help build this trust and alignment to their product?
So, see, I am seeing a lot of startups today who are building simple wrappers around any LLM. Those startups are bound to get disrupted, right? Those startups will no longer exist.
True.
Yes, you can start off with doing that, but you need to add features. In fact, there is a famous interview of Sam Altman where he prescribes this and where he shares his perspective that if you're just going to build a simple wrapper around an LLM, you're going to fail. I'm going to come and take your business away. Right? He's made that power claim, and then we are seeing that. There are companies who started building a wrapper around OpenAI, around translations, around basic services. They no longer exist. Nobody even talks about them because ChatGPT today allows you to do many of those things. So that innovation will continue to happen, but organizations who will thrive, who not only take the LLM power, but also start building certain other aspects, whether it is the data, whether it is the domain, whether it is certain processes which are very critical, which is very niche, and start focusing and building their strengths up, those companies will strive. And for those companies to strive and the startup founders to strive, they have to go deeper. And, as I said, roll up their sleeves. If they have to sit with a dentist office or sit with some ad agency office and understand how those processes work, so be it. Right? They will have to do that. They can't be sitting in their own ivory tower and saying, okay, we are going to disrupt the ad agency world. Some of the other company will quickly disrupt them.
True. And that just now brings me to my last question. Sir, looking ahead, how do you envision the future of innovation and AI in the next 5 to 10 years? And what strategy bets should leaders start making today to make their startups grow forward in the future?
I wish I had a crystal ball where I could see through and I could go ahead and predict what's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years, because then I would have put all my money and energy behind it. Uh, Things are so fluid right now. Nobody can predict what's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years. I'll be very candid. There are partnerships being formed, partnerships being disrupted. These were uh, competition, now they're allies. So it's just becoming very fluid from a market perspective, right? New rules of engagement, new rules of businesses, new rules of partnerships are being formed, new rules of technology are being formed literally every day. So for us, uh, you know, as a company or as individuals who are in this space of AI, for us, few things which we are looking at is next 3 months, next six months, right? And in that, what we are doing is we are looking at the trends, riding those trends, also quickly debunking the trends which are no longer being valid or no longer catching up, right? Or we are parking our thoughts. But those parked thoughts are not being lost or forgotten, because what we have seen previously, like, everybody used to talk about metaverse and all of that. We have seen now with meta glasses and now all of them, that premise of metaverse is going to come back, but it's going to come back in a different avatar. Now, technologies which were adopted or built for that will come back, but it will come back in a different avatar. But somebody had debunked that idea completely, it will be very difficult for them to revive it, right? So companies have to keep piloting, keep experimenting, ride those trends. Some of those trends will pick up, and it's play the bet, right? It's almost like a stock market. Not all your stocks are going to perform, right? There will be few stocks which will outpay you everything, and that's what even Warren Buffett talks about, right? uh, you know you know 2 or 20% of his portfolio outpays his entire portfolio. That's what is going to happen. It's a game of gamble, which not in a literal way, but you have to experiment with all ideas. You can't just say, I'll just like this one trend, one wave, and i- if you do that, you may fail.
True. Very insightful, sir. Since Indian ecosystem, startup ecosystem, is coming up with a lot of startups, but maybe within a few time don't they don't get to go beyond their site or values that they could provide. So yeah, that wraps up our discussion with Anis sir. Thank you so much for your valuable time and insight. Your perspectives on AI, innovation, and human centered leadership offer a powerful roadmap for anyone looking to navigate the future of business. Thank you, sir. And to our listeners, thanks for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe and share this episode with someone who would benefit from it. Catch you in the next episode. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, sir.
Bye bye.